guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. If you haven't already, or if you are new here, then please make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it as always, and it helps me out so much, so thank you so much. This is the look I have created today, so if you'd like to see how I've created this makeup look, then please keep watching. So first of all, I'm taking my Mercier Tinted Moisturiser, and this is in the shade Pearl Radiance, and it's the illuminating one. And I'm just applying this all over with my It Cosmetics flat top buffing brush. And I'm using this as my primer, so I'm not using too much, just a little bit, as it's just going to create like a nice base for the foundation. And I also like that the illuminating version of the tinted moisturiser they do is just more radiant. You really don't need a highlighter if you're using the tinted moisturiser on its own, which I tend to do in the summer when I don't want to wear as much makeup, or just for like a quick run to the shops and you just want to pop a little bit on. I always will go to my Mercier Tinted Moisturiser. It's super lightweight and lets your skin feel like it can breathe. So now I'm taking my Mercier Flawless Lumiere Radiance Perfecting Foundation, and this is in the shade 3N 1.5 Latte. And again with my It Cosmetics brush, I'm just going to pop that all over my face. On my neck as well. Then I'm taking my beauty blender, then I'm just dipping that into the product on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to push that all into the skin just to make sure it's seamless and has like a nice even finish. I just love going over my foundation with my beauty blender just to blend it all out, and you don't have any brush marks left on the face then. I love this foundation. It's more of a creamier texture, gives like a lovely and natural radiant finish to the skin, and it really helps to cover any imperfections I have and just make my skin look literally flawless like it says. So now I'm moving on to my secret weapon, which is the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer, and I can't rave about this enough. And when I say the tiniest bit goes such a long way, I really do mean it, because I know obviously some people are like, oh, you only needed a small amount and it goes such a long way. No, when I say to you this goes such a long way, I'm not lying. I just love this product because it's so versatile. You can use it as a foundation, you can mix it with an illuminator, you can use it as a high coverage concealer, a light coverage concealer if you mixed it with a moisturiser, or an illuminator again. The possibilities with this are literally endless. So I'm picking up my shade in SX02, and I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury's Hollywood complexion brush, and I'm using the smaller end, so not the larger end, the smaller one. And I'm literally just tapping it in just once, the tiniest amount on your brush, and I'm just going to pop it here in the inner corner, and then any excess on the brush I'm popping just here to lift. So I'm just going to blend that out and then blend it up onto my eyelid. So I always go in with a small amount of this and I build the coverage up. I just find a little bit goes a long way. You honestly need the tiniest amount. When I say tiniest, I actually mean the tiniest amount. So as you can see, that small amount has already just totally lifted this eye compared to this one. So I'm just going to do the same on the other side. I think I've actually picked up a little bit too much on this one, but I'll show you how I blend it out. I might pop a little bit more on this eye just because I've picked up a little bit too much and I don't want to overdo it on one eye compared to the other. Anything that's left on my brush, I'm just taking that over my eyelids So I'm just pressing over my concealer with my beauty blender. This is really going to just help to blend it in and make it look like a natural bright under eye. If you suffer with dark circles and you can't find a concealer that covers them, then honestly you need to purchase this. So now that my concealer under my eye is all blended in, I'm picking up my number 7 concealer brush and I'm going to dip it into a different shade, which is XX I can't get my words out, SX07. So this is more like a yellowy tone, and I use this on my forehead, on my chin, I use it on my smile lines as well. I flip my brush on its side and then I just go down the centre of my nose. Then I'm just blending that all in. And I love it because it never looks cakey on the skin either. It always looks like a natural finish. I can't describe it, like it's not matte but it's not radiant. It just looks like, so I'm just going to leave the centre of my nose for the moment while I apply my contour shades. So I'm just taking the shade SX15, again my Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. So as you can see, this is a much darker shade and I use this for contouring. And I'm just taking this Morphe eyeliner brush, and I just like this because it's such a thin tip, so we don't want anything too thick because we want our contour to be as detailed and as small as we possibly can. So when we blend it out, it's going to make the line disperse anyway, so I like to use a thin brush to create a smaller line. And I'm just applying this down the sides of my nose. Then I do a little triangle at the end of my nose like so, and then I draw another triangle like that, almost like an arrow. So now I'm taking this Real Techniques, and this is like an eye buffing brush, and I'm just literally going to keep pressing that into the skin and just blending that contour in. And I'm telling you now, this contour does not budge at all. Like once it's set in place, that's it, like it's there the whole day. So you don't want to blend it as in a buffing motion, you want to push it into the skin like this. That way we're not pushing it around the contour, we're keeping it in the same place. And I also bring it up to my brow bone, that just makes your nose appear slightly longer. So if your nose is longer and you want it to appear shorter, then don't go up so high to your eyebrows, sort of keep it a bit lower. Then I'm taking my beauty blender and I'm just going to press that in. So now I'm going in with my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NC20. And I'm just taking a little bit on the back of my hand. This is like a pump, so you need a brush with this. It doesn't come with the applicator. Just picking up my number 7 concealer brush, which I used earlier. I'm just taking a little bit on the back of the brush. And I'm going to go down the sides of my nose here. Just to create more of like a neater look. Because where we've been with the contour, sometimes it can take away from what we did. So I've just gone down the side of the nose. Then with my beauty blender, I'm just going to press that in. And that just helps to neaten it all up. Now I'm taking my Morphe eye buffing brush and my Laura Mercier bronzer. I'm just dipping this into there. I'm just slightly going over where we've been with the nose contour, just to deepen it slightly and set it in place as well. Nothing too crazy, I just want to make sure it's nice and set into place. Now I take my finger and I just lightly press the center where the concealer is, just to make sure it's all blended. Now I'm taking my XX Revolution highlighter, and this is in the shade Focus. I'm taking this small Real Techniques detailer brush. I'm not sure if they do this anymore, but I'll try and link something similar if I can't find it. So I just dip that into my highlighter, and then I'm going to take this down the center of my nose. So take your time with this because you want it dead in the center, otherwise your nose contour will look off. This makes all the difference. And then I just lightly go over that with my finger, and I also, on the tip of my nose, I just apply like a little bit. This gives a cute button nose effect. And then I apply a little bit on my Cupid's bow. Now I'm taking my Nars Laguna liquid bronzer, and this comes in like a pump, so I just pump a little bit on the back of my hand. Make sure you shake it before you do that. So I'm just dipping my Magic Complexion brush into the bronzer, and I'm just sort of pressing that into my skin, focusing on my cheekbones. So I like to do it higher up. Don't bring it down too far, otherwise it'll pull your features down. We want to create a more lifted look, so I like to do it higher up. And then the same on the other side. It's more of a lifted look. Then I take it under my jaw and just really focus on pressing it into the skin, just making sure it's all blended. I just love the bronzy finish it gives. I just think it looks so like natural. It doesn't look orange, it doesn't look too dark, it's just the perfect bronzy colour. And I like that they do it in the cream formula as well, because it just blends really easily. I also just do a little bit under my lip. Now I'm picking up my Laura Mercier Candle Glow Perfecting Powder. So this is in the shade Free. And I'm taking my Morphe angled contour brush and I'm just swirling that around in the powder. And then anywhere we've just been with the bronzer, I'm just setting it with my Laura Mercier and just deepen it a little bit. So when I do it, I just press into the skin. And I love this bronzer as well. This is one of my all-time favourite bronzers. It's just so natural and buildable on the skin. It doesn't look cakey or muddy at all, so I highly recommend the Laura Mercier bronzer if you haven't tried it already. Now I'm picking up my Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder and I'm taking my Morphe brush and I'm just going to set my under eye with the powder. So I don't take too much. I just want enough so I can set the under eye, and this really does help to brighten like it says. So I tend to only use it under my under eye because I don't want everywhere else to be as bright. I just like a light and bright under eye. And I also just take it across my eyelids. This is just going to help create a base for when we apply the eyeshadows. And now I'm taking my Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Fit. Why can't I get my words out? I swear, when the camera's in front of me, I just can't get my words out. Off camera, absolutely fine. On camera, I'm like a gibbering wreck. So it's the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder, and this is by Charlotte Tilbury in the shade 2. And I'm taking my IT Cosmetics powder brush, just sweeping that into the powder and just lightly tapping it on my forehead, jaw and chin. I'm bringing it down the neck as well. I'm not going under my under eye or I'm not focusing it on my cheekbones, as I've already set that with powder anyway, so I don't want to overload the powder. I just want to use it where necessary. Now I'm taking my Morphe brush again, and I'm going in with my Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk blusher. So I'm just going to swirl and then pop in the middle. This blusher is beautiful. So it's like a bronzy pinky shade. That's how I describe it when it's on anyway. So now I'm picking up my NYX micro brow pencil, and this is in Espresso. I'm just brushing my brows up first with a spoolie, just to give them more sort of texture and a little bit more fluffiness and definition. So I'm just starting at the centre first, light little strokes, and then just bringing it across. This is just going to shape our brow, so we'll start it with this part first. Then I'm going to do short little flicky motions, and this creates sort of hair-like strokes. And then when I get to the centre, I flick it up. It doesn't have to be too precise, but just so it gives a little bit more definition. Then I take my spoolie again, and I'm just going to brush that all through, so it looks super natural and seamless. So it creates a look of actual hairs without having like a blocky brow. Then I'm taking my Benefit Browsings palette, and I'm just going to use the powder shade, so the lighter shade there, which is the powder. Excuse the state of that palette. And I'm just taking a super thin brow, I can't get my words out. What is wrong with me today? I can't get my words out. A brow brush. So I'm just applying that, I'm just popping that into this powder here. And I'm just going all over lightly, just to set them. And then really focusing on the tail ends. And again, just taking my spoolie and brushing that through. Now I'm going to take my NYX Control Freak eyebrow gel, and I'm just going to brush that through to really set them in place so they are not budging. Now I'm taking my Benefit High Brows pencil, and I just like to line underneath my brow. So this is like a matte finish. It's like a pinky nudie shade, and it's just like a matte highlighter. So I just find it's really good for giving you that clean, sharp edge. And then I just blend that in with my fingers just to smooth that out. So now I'm taking my Naked Heat palette, and I'm just going to go into this lighter shade here, Ounce, with my Morphe eyeshadow brush. And I'm applying that all over my lid, just as a nice base. Now I'm going in with my Urban Decay brush. This actually comes with the palette, but it's like a little pencil brush. And I'm taking this shade here, Low Blow, and I'm just going to pop it in my crease. Just go backwards and forwards, just pop it in that crease. You'll be able to feel it, so as you sort of like close your eye and bring it up, your brush should sort of just go into that crease part there, like so. So it'll look messy like that for now. Then I'm going to take a little bit more and apply it here. Then I'm taking my Morphe eyeshadow brush again, and I'm just going to blend that in so there's no harsh lines and it's all seamless. Then I'm going in with that buffer brush, and I'm going into Sourced, and I'm just buffing that into the crease. Now I'm going back in with my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. So I'm just popping a little bit on the back of my hand. Then I'm taking a flat synthetic brush and I'm just going to apply that over. That way we're going to have like a nice cut crease. Then going back in with that blendy brush. Just going to blend in slightly just where the concealer is. And I'm going in with the lighter shade again over the top of the concealer to set that in place. So I'm just going over with a little bit of the colour Low Blow, and I'm really making sure that's nice and blended. Now I'm taking my Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk eyeliner and I'm just applying this to my upper lash line. Then taking that small Urban Decay brush, I'm just going to blend over the eyeliner. And now I'm going into my Dior Backstage palette and I'm taking this matte black shade here and I'm going in with my Real Techniques angled brush. So any black matte shade will be fine. It's just they don't actually have one in the Heat palette. I'm just applying that over where we've been with the brown, just lightly. The brown shade gives us like a nice guide to follow. So taking that pencil brush again, I'm just going into the shade Low Blow. And I'm just running that along my lash line. Like so. Now I'm taking my XX Revolution highlighter again, taking a little bit, and I'm just applying that on the inside of my eyelid, like my tear ducts, just to give a little bit of a highlight. Now I'm taking my Charlotte Tilbury's Push Up Lashes mascara. So this really does push up your lashes and make them appear so much longer. So as you can see, like I've got a little bit of mascara there, but just let it dry and then take a cotton bud and just go over it and then it just comes off. So if that ever happens, do not wipe it off while it's wet. It will just smudge all your makeup. Just let it dry and then just go over with a little cotton bud and it will just come off like magic. I also forgot, on the inside of my eyelid, I'm using this white crayon from Rimmel. So that just really helps to open up the eye area and make your eyes appear bigger. So I'm taking my Huda Beauty Lip Contour Lip Liner in Flirt. So I love this lip liner, but I don't know if you can see, it's actually broken. So I don't know, like I just got it and it was like this when I brought it home and I was just like, oh, that's annoying. So yeah, that's the only complaint I have about it. Like I love the colour and it still works and stuff, but it's just, yeah, it's just annoying. But I'll make do. So this gives like a really browny tone. So it's really good for defining the lips, and then you can apply your lipstick and then blend it all in. The corners, I just like to create a little bit more depth. Then today I'm going to use MAC Blankety. And then I'm taking my Dior lipstick, and this is the shade Ultra Ambitious. and this is like a brownie shade, so I like to pop this on the corners of my mouth to create more definition. I'm just going to apply my false lashes and I'll be right back. So this is the finished look, and I absolutely love the way this look has turned out. Super easy and super fun to create, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it. If you have, then please remember to give it a big thumbs up down below, and also if you haven't already, then please subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for watching. See you soon.